Fanned by 100-mile-an-hour winds in the dead of winter, the Marshall Fire raced into the suburbs east of Boulder last December. It burned from home to home, igniting a whole shopping center and a hotel. More than 3 months later, that hotel's eerie 4-story high elevator shaft is the only thing that remains in the rubble. Suburban neighborhoods around the Boulder turnpike are leveled. More than 1,000 homes were destroyed, making Marshall the most destructive wildfire ever in Colorado. The steady hum of giant bulldozers is heard all around, as the machines scoop up twisted burnt debris, torched patio furniture, smashed ceramic garden pots and even the skeletons of charred cars. When I drive through our neighborhood and it looks like a war zone, I can't help but just be still shocked. The University of Colorado professor was underinsured, a common problem after disasters, and she's not sure she and her family will rebuild. For now, they feel lucky to have found a place nearby to rent. But this spring, as the fierce winds like those that whipped the Marshall Fire into an inferno have returned to the area, so has the trauma. It just felt like, okay, can this really be happening again? Pearce says. It's become hard to remember a day recently when the heavily populated, and tinder dry, Colorado Front Range wasn't under a red flag warning for extreme fire danger. Since the Marshall Fire, there have been several close calls, including the recent NCAR Fire, which forced Arzelia Walker to briefly evacuate her home of 40 years in South Boulder. You sort of start to feel anxious, Walker says, referring to the winds. The fact that the Marshall Fire was in the dead of winter is terrifying. Like a lot of this college town of about 100,000 people at the doorstep of the Rocky Mountains, Walker's neighborhood abuts open space and forest land. Our big winds tend to come in the winter, so that's not been a problem But climate change has made winters warmer and drier. The irony of the NCAR Fire, named after the climate change research lab it threatened, the National Center for Atmospheric Research, wasn't lost on many Boulderites. Fortunately, firefighters got a handle on it before it got bigger than 200 acres though. Definitely a scare, says Brian Oliver, the Wildland Division Chief for Boulder Fire. You can see the neighborhood just a couple hundred yards away from the fire line, that black edge there. On a recent windy afternoon, Oliver stood on the mesa where NCAR sits, with its 360-degree view of the city and its striking flatiron rock formations. Red flag warnings prompted him to station fire engines in strategic places around town. A pair of heavy air tankers was also on call in nearby Fort Collins, assuming it was safe for them to fly in the wind.